Welcome, and thank you for joining us for the East Baton Rouge Parish Library's Mid-City Microcon. Although this is our third year doing the Mid-City Microcon, this is our very first 100% virtual con. The Mid-City Microcon is a celebration of diversity in comic book characters, creators, and their fans. This event provides a free, inclusive opportunity for new and lifelong fans to find themselves in the world of comics and art, both on the page and behind the scenes. We strive to amplify the voices of creators who challenge the status quo, especially those who have been historically underrepresented in the comic book industry, and also local creators from Baton Rouge and Louisiana. Unlike many comic book conventions, the Mid-City Microcon does not charge a fee to vendors nor attendees, thereby allowing more freelance, independent, and self-published creators a space to showcase their work. For more information about this year's Microcon, as well as previous years, please visit our website at ebrpl.com/mcmc. Thank you.
Worldbuilding, creating the world of Sankofa's Eymbrace. What is an Afro-Fantasy? So let's get that out the way first. An Afro-Fantasy is a fantastical and imaginative epic using tropes found in traditional fantasy stories, but mostly, if not all, from an African-centered perspective. It uses similar westernized fantasy tropes, similar tropes found in westernized fantasy, such as maps, magic, imaginative beasts, landscapes, mythologies. Characters are usually from different backgrounds and can fit into many fantasy categories like thief, paladin, mage, healer, knight. Just think Dungeons and Dragons. Or Final Fantasy, which is my favorite, but with black people or imaginative, with black people or people that look black, quote unquote, depending on where your world is based. What is world building? World building basically is the art of making your imaginative world exist more in the minds and thoughts of readers. This is usually achieved by creating background stories for characters, weapons, areas, and other elements for an epic tale and tying them into the world that was created. I'm discovering now that I'm like 20 years into this, that even something as simple as a name drop can build a world. When you're creating that, when you mention that name, you're thinking about the background of that name or that person, place, or thing, and already you're building that world even more. So yeah. And what is Sankofa's Eymbrace? Well, we're about to show you. The Sankofa children, human representatives of Mayat, swan of order, and Yurugu, swan of chaos, haven't been seen for thousands of years. They were the keepers of balance in the world, but none, save a few, even remember who they were. When thief Abel Ani steals the Yurugu feather and meets the chosen one, Asada Mwakozi, he finds himself thrust in the middle of an ancient battle between balance and the malevolent entity disorder. Abel and Asada will embark upon an adventure where they will encounter individuals, both friend and foe, and also those as old as creation. Sankofa's Eymbrace. So, Sankofa's Eymbrace is a character-driven Afro-Fantasy comic book series, and it centers around the themes of creation, destruction, rebirth, remembrance, and balance. These themes encompasses a wider love story, which was the main element of my original concept so many years ago. The word Sankofa is a word in the Twi language of Ghana that translates to go back and get it, go back and fetch it, and or remember the past to move forward. It also refers to the Adinkra symbols shown below, represented either with two birds facing one another in a heart shape or by a bird with its head turned backwards while its feet face forward, carrying an egg in its mouth. And these two symbols are actually favorite symbols of me and my wife, Queen, and they mean like very much to us. So these are the two logos of Sankofa's Eymbrace. The one at the very top is the very first logo, and the one at the bottom is the current logo. But I wanted to show how I use that heart-shaped Adinkra symbol of Sankofa to become my own brand for Sankofa's Eymbrace. So, and the birds. And one thing that I learned from Final Fantasy, which I'll get into a little bit more, is the use their logos. Oftentimes, when you look at their logos, they often tell a bit of story. So Sankofa's Eymbrace is a very character-driven comic book, and I wanted that to also be reflected in the logo itself. But it all started in December 29th, 1999 AD. And it all started with this video game right here, Final Fantasy VIII. So yeah, I got into Final Fantasy back in 1997 when my cousin Desmond bought Final Fantasy VII. And I watched him play and beat it, and I was just so like, just inspired by it. So Final Fantasy VIII was actually the first one that I actually owned. And I remember playing it and getting involved in the story and the storytelling and the characters. And on December 29th, I remember beating it. And by that time, the story had grown on me, the characters grew on me, and after watching the very cinematic ending, it made me cry. And I just left remembering, man, I want folks to have that same feeling when they read my comic book. And I've been drawing my own comic books since I was 11, and by this time I'm like 18 years old. And my comic books were basically your typical anti-hero or superhero or my own type of X-Men team. So by that time, I wanted to do a fantasy comic book because my baby can tell you where I grew up at, it looks like one of those little fantasy environments with my grandmother's plants and everything. And I used to walk around the house in the country, and I see a few of my relatives are in the house, and just imagining that I was on these quests. And I had never read any fantasy novels. So all I knew at the time as far as fantasies were movies and Final Fantasy. So you're about to see the early stages of what was first called, about to share my screen with y'all again. It was first called at first it was named Eymbrace, but it was spelled with that I, and people would be like, Eymbrace. So later on I had to change that a bit. So we're gonna talk about Eymbrace, but it was Eymbrace. I had to change the name. So these are some of the early characters. This was back in the year 2000. And it's remarkable looking at these old images because my art has like really evolved from then. But I cherish these so much because these were like the first bones of Sankofa's Eymbrace before I even knew what Sankofa was. And this is my very first world map. So this is before I learned how to color on the computer. So this was all done by hand with a color pencil. So I just took what I knew from playing Final Fantasy and the way their world maps looked and applied it to my own. So I can't even read it because I think even the copy that I have is not the original copy, but some stuff is kind of distorted out. But I can see some of the early names I came up with. Some of it's laughable, but I enjoy it all. And this was actually a first page of my very first attempt at doing a comic book on Eymbrace. And this is pretty much the way I used to draw comic books anyway growing up. I didn't have a computer. I didn't even know how they color comic books. So I would just draw them, then color them with color pencils. 2001 AD. All right. So this is that second or third incarnation of Eymbrace. This is after I learned how to use Photoshop to color, after I learned how to separate those lines from the white background and not paint over them. This is when some of those characters started to kind of take shape. And I don't have the time, unfortunately, to go through who these characters are. Some of them, to be honest with you, I don't remember. But I do have them all written down. And this is my second attempt at my world map. Now, by this time, I got into Lord of the Rings, got into the world of J.R.R. Tolkien, and I'm going to stop my screen share for right now. And this book right here, The Atlas of Middle-earth. This book is basically, literally, it is an atlas of Middle-earth. And I'm sitting here, I used to read this book in Barnes and Noble, and it used to just amaze me of how real it appeared. And I used to have to stop and like, wait, this is still an imaginary story, but it's an entire atlas. So I knew I wanted something like this to make my world look big, feel real. And also, the Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Rings visual companion. It has this nice, beautiful, big map of Middle Earth, and that was a great help. And also, I'd be remiss to not mention anything dealing with the art of Final Fantasy. This book in particular really helped me in designing a lot of different areas and locations, because with doing a fantasy, one of the things that I learned early on is locations are just as much as a character as the characters themselves. So I'm gonna go back to my screen again. All right. So we're going into 2003 AD. So these are some more early concepts of some characters, and my art started to evolve a little bit more. And I started to create my supporting cast. And who knows, I might use some of these designs again. And just to let y'all know, I'm gonna leave some time at the end for any questions or comments. And this is my second attempt at creating a cover for whatever incarnation that Eymbrace was at the time. And this is my third attempt at a world map when I learned how to color on the computer. So you're seeing the world of Sankofa's Eymbrace form in its early days. This image right here is a favorite image of mine that my wife, Queen, actually loves. And if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't have found it. This is an early character named Samara. But I post this image also because this is when I started to look more at magazines, like clothing magazines. I started buying, oh yeah, Astro. I started buying referencing books so I can create my characters with realistic body types and something that's not, you know, that's something that's anatomically correct. So I'm proud of this image. This is during my days of Adobe Photoshop, and this was done way back in 2003. So now we're moving into 2005 to 2007. And this is when Sankofa started to emerge. But it all began with 3 words. 3. What were those words? I'll protect you. So my wife, Queen, and I, we began dating back in 2005. But we became friends a few months before then. And the night we started dating, I cried in her arms, and 3 words she whispered to me: "I'll protect you." And that just, not only did it just touch my heart, it just ignited something in a story that I wanted. Sankofa's Embrace, or Embrace, even at that time, I always wanted it to be a fantasy with a love story theme, because that's what Final Fantasy VIII was pretty much. And I feel like love stories, like certain movies like A Walk in the Clouds or What Dreams May Come, fantasy type love stories. A Walk in the Cloud is not a fantasy love story, but What Dreams May Come, fantasy love stories like that tend to really, I don't know, touch people in a lot of magical ways. So, and this is one of my early images, but I want to stop the screen and I want to show y'all some early sketches. This all goes into building that world of Sankofa's Embrace. So this is actually from, I'm going to say circa 2005. Oh, okay, thank you, baby. And so this is one of my early concepts to my main character after Sankofa came into play. And I'm going to tell you how the word Sankofa came into playing into Sankofa's Embrace. But I want to show y'all these images really quick. My character started taking on more African themes as I started to intertwine more like Adinkra symbols. Those are symbols just like the word Sankofa, symbols that are from the Akan people in Ghana. Thank you, baby. And that year, 2005, was really pivotal in a lot of ways, not just because that's when me and my wife, Queen, got together, but also at the end of 2004, I started getting more knowledge of self as far as like becoming more Black and African conscious. And I was angry, but I was also passionate. And that anger and that passion motivated me to want to learn more about anything dealing with Black and African history and ways of life. Matter of fact, one of the first books my wife, Queen, let me borrow, and she was surprised that I asked about it because I was just 24 at the time, I believe, was the ISIS Papers by Francis Cress Welsing. So a lot of these different texts put me on this path. My professor, Robert Cox, who's also my mentor, his Survey of World Art class and a lot of the art history classes I took with him, I learned a lot about African art. And I learned that African art had functionality to it versus European art, where it was just pretty much made to look at. It may have captured a story, but it was made to look at. A lot of your African masks, they just wasn't made to hang up in somebody's house. They were made because they were part of ceremonies. So when learning about that art, I started to learn more about the culture. And not just with African culture, but like with the art of Asia, the art of the Middle East. All of that started to build upon what would become Sankofa's Embrace. And the word Sankofa, when I learned about what that was, I was discussing with my wife, Queen, and my girlfriend at the time. It's like, man, I want to call it, because matter of fact, Dr. Reginald Rackley, Black psychology teacher at Southern, he showed us clips from this movie called Sankofa. And Sankofa inspired me to do a fantasy kind of based, about, a lot of Black and African themes. And I wanted to call it Embrace of Sankofa or something like that. And my wife, Queen, was like, well, just call it Sankofa's Embrace. There you have it. Sankofa's Embrace. So we're going to go, I'm going to share my screen again. So this image actually I created, we got married in the year 2007. And which is another, we got married May 26, 2007. And that was another pivotal point in the whole energy of Sankofa's Embrace. This is one of the early images, and also early images of my evolving hero. Another image of my evolving hero, and also the first appearance of one of my personal favorite characters of Sankofa's Embrace, Chaka. Chaka, many of you who followed my Instagram of Sankofa's Embrace and my Facebook, you know Chaka is the leader of my Lady Pirates. And she was one of my early concepts in Sankofa's Embrace. And at this time, she was just a thief. But I designed her, she was inspired by Lauryn Hill in particular, from the X Factor video when Lauren's dancing in like that blue light, but it shows like the beauty of her dark skin. So I wanted to create a character with this dark skin that was just beautiful. And this is the evolved, another evolved concept of our world map. Started, you know, I was learning Photoshop a little bit more. So I wanted the map to look a little less Final Fantasy, and more like Lord of the Rings, but with some of it mixed in. So if you look in there before I change the screen, you can see some of these African names I'm starting to use, like Olokun, Mpenzi, Moto, like these different names that I'm using from different African cultures. So now we're moving on to 2008 to 2013 AD. Now, you're seeing an early image. One of the first conceptual image of one of the two main party members, and I call my characters party members because I use a lot of role-playing game terminologies. Asada. And Asada was inspired by one of my personal favorite heroes, Asada Shakur. Read this book, Asada, the autobiography. Yeah, I can't go into it right now. It's too long to talk about. But she has such an impact on me. I wanted to give a shout out to that particular character, to that particular historical queen. So that's Asada. And at the time, she also had white hair, which was also my tribute to my favorite comic book character, Storm. So by now, you're starting to see, thank you. So right now, you're starting to see me play with different body types and different poses. I bought this, did I hurt you? I'm sorry. I bought this dope book right here, Colossal Collection of Action Poses. This is one of the many books that I use to get ideas on poses to see how a body looks when posing. And I also use myself all the time. Y'all who follow my Instagram and Facebook, y'all know I take like thousands and thousands of selfies, and like one or two becomes references. So, and I also use this book right here, Facial Expressions. My style has evolved a little bit, and you're seeing that, thank you, baby. You're seeing that through these images that I'm showing you. I was influenced by anime a little bit back in my day, but my biggest influence was pretty much Jim Lee and Joe Madureira, who Joe Madureira pretty much made famous the merging of the American way of drawing with the Japanese way of drawing. But my style has evolved from then. And so I'm kind of, I guess you could say, kind of realistic, but cartoonish. I don't know. Somebody will think of a name for my style one day. So, but I'm going to show you this from, so make sure y'all can see this. Not only did I start drawing my characters in relation to their worlds or locations, you know, I wanted to also depict different characters in different ages. Because again, this is a character-driven comic book. So I wanted to show Asada as in different ages. Now this is 2008. So a lot has changed since then as well. And these are some of the, this is from 2012. This is when Sankofa's Eymbrace really started to shape up. And by this time, I decided to just keep Asada, to make Asada's hair brown. And so you're seeing some of the early characters. Some of them I still have. Some of them have pretty much been combined with other characters. And now you're seeing another incarnation of our world map. But this pretty much is the second to the last incarnation of it. This is when the world really started to come together. But there are reasons for why I changed the world, which I cannot explain at the moment. Yeah. So these, I'm showing y'all right now some concepts of some of the areas that I was creating. And this was back in 2012, in 2013, I believe. Right here, you're seeing an early concept of the slums, of the Hodari slums. You're going to see coming, you're going to see the more up-to-date version of it. Here are some more landscapes. See, during this time, I was still messing with Adobe Photoshop, but I discovered another program that actually made my digital painting life a heck of a lot easier. And right here, I started to develop more of the people of Sankofa's Eymbrace, depending on their location. So this is when I started doing things like that. And this started to build my world more and more. I also started to put some tributes to African deities. But keep in mind, this is an Afro-Fantasy. I'm taking the route of people like J.R.R. Tolkien and Robert Jordan in a lot of the Final Fantasy games as creating my own world. So this is a total imaginative world, but I'm using a lot of themes that are inspired by African cultures. Final Fantasy, if anybody plays Final Fantasy who's watching, you know they summon these spirits or these creatures. A lot of these spirits are often named after deities that exist in different cultures. Like, for instance, Odin or Shiva. Now, in Final Fantasy, Odin or Shiva doesn't look like Odin of the Norse gods or Shiva of India. But I'm imagining, like, I'm sitting in the classroom and I just played Final Fantasy and I come across Odin. And Odin, I'm learning about the Norse god, but Odin in my mind is the Odin from Final Fantasy. So already I'm learning about a culture because I was exposed to something as simple as the name. This is what I'm doing with the Sankofa's Eymbrace. The character, the beautiful lady, is named Oshun, after the water deity of Yoruba, the freshwater and beauty deity, Oshun. And the big, giant, insanely detailed gentleman is named Shango, after the Orisha deity. But I'm lightly using them because I don't want to exploit another culture. I just want to inspire people to, you know, learn.
But Sankofa's Eymbrace gives you a nugget for you to research for yourself to find out your own truth.
Thank you, baby. And yeah, I'm sorry, I'm over talking y'all, and chime in, baby, please. All right. And actually, here goes some examples of Oshun. And I know, you know, now Oshun is almost like a household name right now. All right. And so now you're seeing some early concepts of some covers. These are two early concepts, and my style has changed. This was when I was doing a lot of inking, and I no longer ink. So now we're getting into 2015 and beyond. And here is the official world map of Sankofa's Eymbrace. And yeah, well, the stories that be evolving. And these are most of the party members, but I'm gonna tell y'all, Sankofa's Eymbrace is it has a lot of characters. I'm still creating characters, which is one of the reasons why it's not a graphic novel. It is a comic book series. But the comic book series, I have more freedom to create characters and prolong the story as long as I want to, even though I do have an end game. I want to take you guys to the website. since we talking about those characters. This is the official website of Sankofa's Eymbrace. And as stated before, I call my characters party members. And so we have Abel. He's a free-spirited thief in the Hildori slums with a knack for getting himself in over his head. And we have Asada Mwakozi, a traveling performer and chosen one of an ancient prophecy. So I'm gonna kind of run through these. We have Kalai. One of the things I love about a lot of fantasies, like Lord of the Rings, Wheel of Time, but more so with Final Fantasy are the anamorphic characters. More like 90% of the games, they're characters who are a merge of human and some type of animal. And they walk around like everybody else. They're another race of the world. So that's Kalai. He's my Pa'a Gazelic. I love gazelles, y'all. I want one. Imagine me feeding it. This is Mtalamu. Mtalamu was actually inspired by the Bobo Ashanti dreads and rastas, and a few other elements like the African griot. But it's the Bobo Ashanti dread who wears the turban over their locks. That's who inspired Mtalamu. We have Yichku, a favorite of a lot of people and one of my personal favorites too. That's my tree spirit or tree dwarf. And she's like 3 feet tall. And this is Chaka. This is our infamous pirate, Chaka the Black Mist. And here's Michael Lumumba. He has a big freaking axe. He's a goblin hunter. And we have Kayla Lumumba, who's his daughter. She's a child prodigy, a heck of a mechanic. And she's cute. And her weapons don't work on humans. Victoria Northingale. She's the healer. Zechariah Illendale, he's basically a holy knight. So just like a lot of fantasy tropes, I have like the holy knight, the healer, the pirate, the thief, the warrior, the mage. So still carrying on with those different fantasy elements, but using African themes. All right. So we're going to go back to the presentation. That's the website. Thank you, my baby. All right. Here we go. All right. And that's my wife, Queen. We went to the Renaissance Festival in Hammond, Louisiana. And the Renaissance Festival, played a huge role in a lot of different inspirations. And I took this picture of my wife, and then I just added the adornments on her. It's actually a very important character, the Peacock Oracle. And you're seeing some conceptual artwork. And I'm going to move through these because we're running, and I want to open up the floor to any questions and comments. So you're seeing some more conceptual work of me starting to develop Asada with the way she looks. And now you're seeing like my supporting characters. Some of them I've named after my cousins. Cousin Desmond, Cousin Terrence, my cousin Sandra. And that's Abel and Kalai. These are their cronies. They live in the slums. They get into trouble. But they got jobs and Abel don't. And this is Abel's mom, Afeni, which I named after Afeni Shakur. This is Khalifa. She's the master thief. And we have Slumlord Goldie the Only. Yeah. And this is some of my process as well. This is Kayla. So this is just a breakdown of my process. Kayla is so cute. Yeah, I start with the lines. I scan it, and then I do my gray scale painting. This is where most of the painting is done. And then I overlay my colors, and then I add a few more effects. And with Sankofa's Eymbrace, one of the things I want people to do is to be able to see themselves in it. So I try not to let all my characters look the same. And that goes with body types as well. Ajat is actually one of my most favorite characters as well, one of my most beautiful characters. And she's pretty much designed after a lot of full-figured friends of mine and full-figured famous folks that inspired me. And like I said, I take a million selfies, and here's one where I use myself. But this also helps in determining the perspective. And this was actually digitally painted from a reference that I use of Jackie, who's the leader of the Pandorian Belly Dancers and one of our dear friends. But that's Asada doing her thing with her elements. And these are some of the wildlife, and you know, you have to have that in a fantasy. And all of that to create this, all of those years, that was the 19th year, and Sankofa's Eymbrace finally came into fruition. And see, it's the physical copy right here. Yeah, physical copy. Which I cried when we got it. So yeah. And so some of those elements that you saw, like my animals, which is, I call this a gazantha, because I love panthers too. And gazelles, so I merged a gazelle with a panther. Yeah. And you see it in motion on the comic book page. And it evolved a little bit more. And this is a scene from Sankofa's Eymbrace issue 1. And I really wanted folks to also see some of the inspirations, some of the African inspirations that went into creating these colossal heads embedded into the mountain range. And they were inspired by Olmec heads and a lot of masks from West Africa. I believe that's Benin. And Olmecs are found in Mexico. Basically, they're the ancient Mexicans who look very close to appearance to a lot of Benin, a lot of West African statues and features. So this is the scene. Earlier I mentioned about the Hodori slums, and you saw that sketch of it. Well, this monstrosity of this detail right here is an overview of the Hodori slums. And one of the things about storytelling and world building is the environment. The people that you may never hear from, but the background people. And on this page, the word bubbles also have word bubbles from the news monitors that you see at the top and at the bottom. That's a good way of mentioning a lot of background story that can foreshadow what's to come. Sankofa's Eymbrace number 2. So we're there, y'all. We're about to send off the final edit so we can have it. People have pre-ordered, and you can still pre-order, and you can also order Sankofa's Eymbrace number 1. I got the links all the way up at the top of the chat. And we're gonna let y'all see the trailer to Sankofa's Eymbrace number 2. How are you looking at that? Good. Okay. So this is the official trailer of Sankofa's Eymbrace number 2. And what y'all seeing, you're seeing some interior artwork from Sankofa's Eymbrace number 2. So yeah, that was the preview to Sankofa's Eymbrace #2. And you saw a few things in that trailer. Actually, you also saw a glimpse of the language that I created. It's not a spoken language yet, but it's a written language. And I wanted to intertwine that in the trailer. So that was interior work from Sankofa's Eymbrace #2. And we want you guys to see the progress in each issue. And hopefully you saw that. If you have Sankofa's Eymbrace #1 and you saw this preview of #2, hopefully you saw that. So I'm gonna tease y'all with one last thing, and it's from Sankofa's Eymbrace issue #3, which I've been working on and off. So yeah, I know it took more than a year to get #2 out. Yeah, we got the virus. I was exhausted as heck after #1, but we're still trying to go with that 3 to 6 month window, which is why I'm working on #3 right now. And I'm gonna tell y'all it's fun. I'm having fun with it. So let me tease y'all with 2 images from issue #3. Dun, 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 dun. And so y'all, this is some interior work from issue #3. And I wanted people to see a lot of my influences. You can see it more so with the image with the Serengeti sunset. This is a tribute to a lot of your classic ninja duels, because this character right here, she's a ninja dwarf, tree dwarf. She's one of my pirates. But I wanted people to also get this, not just this African Serengeti background feel, but also this tribute to Japanese culture and just merge the two. That's what I love about Sankofa's Eymbrace. It's an Afro-Fantasy, but I'm so free to merge so many elements together to create something organic. And I just wanted to show this page right here because it's just frankly dope. And that's a barracoon. That's another animal that I created. Yeah, only in Louisiana can you create a barracoon. That's right. But my grandmama Easton Mitchell probably shoot him. So that's the end of the visual presentation. And here are all the links to our social medias, to where you can donate. And I also posted these links way up in the chat. So I'm gonna exit. And all right, so it's 4:48. We have a few minutes left. I don't know if anybody can unmute their video. If you can, feel free to throw out some questions. Okay, I'll read the chat. I like the conversations y'all having. Thank you, Steve. Okay, questions will be in the chat. Thank you, Jessica. Okay, I'm glad you love the dual scene. I love it too. I'm telling you, my ladies will not cease to amaze. My lady pirates. I'm glad you're ready to grab it. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. And I see my family in here, Terrence and Sherry, thank you. I saw my auntie Loretta in here. Thank you, Elena Dorsey, one of my art comrades. Elena's actually, I don't know if I showed you Elena's work, but Elena, her style actually influenced my style a lot. Her style is so free. All right. Oh, okay, that's Keith. You just own Jessica's account. Gotcha. But,
yo, I'm gonna turn the mute off and just say, yo, I'm proud of you, man.
Thank you, Elena. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yo, you killed this. Like, I'm inspired to like get off my ass and finally start my own project. Like, I love this.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that so much. So much. You've been there since one of the conceptions. All right. Marcel says, just want to say congrats on the book. I need a copy of 1 and 2 whenever it drops. 1 is out. Oh yeah, 2 whenever it drops. Yeah, man. Speaking of, anybody want to order the copies? There, you scroll back up the chat. We have the links. But if you're listening, www.sankofasembrace.com, SANKOFASEYMBRACE.com. I didn't mess it up. Woo!
And can you reiterate that?
Ha! Yes. So yeah, wife queen. Yeah, very important. We got to talk about our staff. We got to talk about our staff because that's why it takes a minute because everybody has to get on one accord. So on creation, you have Antoine Ghost Mitchell. On pencil, you have Antoine Ghost Mitchell. On coloring, you have illustrating. You have Ashe Sundiata. Antoine Ghost Mitchell. On lettering, you have Antoine Ghost Mitchell. On cleanup, you had that other fool, who is Antoine Ghost Mitchell. And my wife queen, she is my very honest and lovely editor. She makes sure everything is written correctly, or baby, she tell me, baby, this don't make sense. I know it's a fantasy, but it don't make sense. So this is the team. And this is not counting the graphic design, the mailing, the shipping. The only thing that we don't do is the printing. The printing, and I don't mind shouting them out, Greco Printing. It's called Comics Wellspring, but they're a subsidiary of Greco Printing. They are freaking awesome. If anybody has a copy of Sankofa's Embrace #1, feel it. You will see that, yeah, it's just the two of us, but we produce this thing like it's very professional. I wanted the highest quality paper and the highest quality cardstock. Hence, maybe why the price tag is kind of up, But yeah. But thank you guys for your support. Jessica asks, or Keith asks, how many issues will you do before trade? That's a great question. I'm pretty much taking the same route that a lot of our major companies use. When they finish with a story arc, they'll make that arc into a trade. So that's pretty much what I'm planning to do. This comic book is very independent. Oh, what's an arc? Thank you, my baby. An arc basically is after a certain event is over and before you go into the next event. So an event could be 3 issues, even 2 issues. But sometimes it could be 6 issues. And when that event is over, it becomes a trade. And some people can't afford to buy single issues all the time, or they don't have the time to go buy single issues. So sometimes they'll wait until a trade come out. Don't do that for Sankofa's Embrace. Because fortunately, I have a day job, which is a cool day job. But of course, that gets in the way of me working on Sankofa's Embrace. But I find ways. If you follow me on Instagram and Facebook, you'll see I'll be working on my comic book in the car on my lunch break. Eating a sandwich and getting to work because I refuse to go inside and eat because of, COVID. He said, get them all. Elena said, get that patron OnlyFans. Everybody's getting the OnlyFans. I am scared. But yeah, I'm hustling. Who knows? But no, I love the tone of Sankofa's Embrace. It's a lot of fantasies that I've watched that some people, ever since people got into, for instance, Game of Thrones, and it got popular, and people are like, you know, when you say I'm doing an Afro-Fantasy, oh, is it like Game of Thrones? And I tell them with a profound no, because I want it to be for all, well, it's not for all audiences, but I say if Sankofa's Embrace was written as a novel, it'd be a YA novel. But your average 11-year-old can take a lot more than what my 11-year-old can when I grew up. So, you know, I just tell parents, just, you know, monitor it. When I say the content is heavy, not heavy as far as language goes, but some of the story content may be a little heavy to understand. But get it. Read it to them when they get older. Read it yourself. It's a good way to expose yourself in a great way to influences from African culture. So, oh yeah, and I meant to start it off with this. We gotta say, Wakanda forever. But I do want to say this. For those of you, especially who have kids who are heartbroken about the death of Chadwick, they're also heartbroken because they believe Black Panther is dead. Don't let them stop imagining in anything. That's one thing I want Sankofa's Embrace to do for Black kids and grown-ups. Feel free to use your imagination. The beautiful actor Chadwick passed away. It hit me, it hit all of us, it's still hitting all of us like a family member. But Black Panther did not pass away. Don't go thinking that the comic books are not being made. The comic books are probably going to be made until comic books won't be made anymore. So if your kid is crying because Black Panther is dead, explain to them that a remarkable actor passed away and expose them to some of his other movies. But Black Panther is not dead. And the Black Panther mantle passes anyway. One thing I don't want people to do right now is like, what's gonna be next? Who's gonna be next? Just chill out. Let the family grieve. But thank you guys so much. My lovely wife, Queen, and I thank you so much for all your support. I thank her so much for all her endless support. And anything else, guys, before we clock out?
Ghost and Asa, this is Dale and Cookie. We're so proud of you.
Thank you, family. Yes. Thank you, guys.
Part of our major support
Yes.
team, always ready for when the world opens back up, Cookie. We're ready for a reception.
That's right. We do have we talk about the team of creators, but we have a broader team as well, though. My brothers, Dale, Oscar, my brother Mike, Cookie, you know, all our family. Lenny, you know, the babies, Steve, Bayham, Nathaniel Landry. There's a lot of unspoken people who really help make Sankofa's Embrace alive. So thank you so much to the East Baton Rouge Parish Library for all the support.
All the time.
All the support. My aunties Loretta and Belle for teaching me how to draw.
Where can I see some artwork on display?
Currently, you can see Sankofa's Embrace on display at the Carver branch downtown in Baton Rouge. I already say South Baton Rouge, but on Terrace. So you can see that. So thank you guys so much. I think we only got 1 minute left. Steve is waving. You're on mute, Steve.
You think I don't know how to work the computer?
Yeah, the computer man don't know how to work the computer.
I got my shirt on today too. So
Yes, we're grieving.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I didn't realize it, but last night I one of my nighttime shirts is actually a Black Panther shirt, and I put it on, and then we got the news, and it was just like, huh. So,
I was hoping it was a Facebook hoax.
Yeah.
The one time. But what you got, Steve?
Just wanted to point out that I posted your YouTube link on there for that trailer. And
Dope. Thank you so much.
they and also check out, if you're not already on his Facebook Sankofa's Embrace pages, follow that. You get to see a little bit more inside information of how it's created. I'm not going to tell anybody, but sometimes I see a few things early, but it's all awesome. I like a lot of people who are aspiring artists, my daughter included, like to see the creation process.
Yes.
You had some pictures on here, but to see it as you're creating it is pretty cool, especially coming from somebody like me who can't draw a stick man. It's cool to see the creation process and all the time and effort that goes into that. It's not something that you just sit down and bam, 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 you're done in 5 minutes. It's something that this guy spends hours and hours on. Every page,
and hours.
Every page this guy creates is probably, a month. So the amount of detail that goes into this stuff is incredible. So I'm an appreciator of this art form, to the max.
Thank you so much. I've been wanting to do comic books since I picked up, not even when I picked up my first X-Men, but when I got into Ninja Turtles. But when I got into X-Men, it made me want to do comic books. And I'm just in love with the art form. I'm in love with the hustle of it. I'm in love with the challenge that each page presents. So thank you guys for following Sankofa's Embrace and watching me create. I love showing the process because that's one of the things I enjoy. And that's one of the things I hope I never stop enjoying when this thing really blows up. I still want to be grassroots in in the ways that I'm able to, in the ways that we're able to. So thank you guys so much. And we love you. And if you missed this, I know it's going to be, it's being recorded. So I think it's going to stream. So I guess that's it. Hi, Keith, how we looking? You're on mute, Keith. Is it over? Because if y'all got some more questions, go ahead and throw them in. All righty then. So, well, I guess that's it, you guys. Thank you guys again. The links are at the very top. You can scroll up if you want to support Sankofa's Embrace. We're going to get issue 2 out very, very, very soon. It has that alternate cover. Only 25, but we only have I think 22 left. Don't quote me on that.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear it? Yes, we can hear you.
These headphones are borrowing. House cleaning, like you're right. It is being streamed. It is being recorded. It will be at www.ebrpl.com/mcmc. Also have it embedded on the Blurtish website. And of course, Antoine, y'all know how Antoine get down. He's going to share it crazy. It's also going to be converted to a YouTube video. So if you missed this Zoom, don't feel bad. You will see it. I promise you, we're going to share it like crazy. So,
I'm going to share it like crazy.
Believe it or not, officially closed the con. We were letting you go as long as you needed, just a little bit after 5. But the con is over. This Mid-City Microcon experiment has been wonderful. It has been great. We thank gracious creators like yourself, all those who have checked in to let us do this event. Like you said, considering what all up and down what happened this week through the hurricanes, the problems of the world, the death of Chadwick, and we've been able to make this happen. And we can't make this happen without us giving you support and you giving us support back. So
man, I love the library, man. We love the library. Any artist that's in the chat right now, if you want exposure and you
That's
want
not exploitative.
yeah, that's if you want to expose your art that's not and you not trying to be exploitative and you're trying to expose it to people who don't necessarily get to go to museums or galleries or who don't look at museums or galleries. You're exposing them to your art, and the library is one of the best places to do this at. And
Absolutely.
you're also giving them educational aspects. So thank y'all so much for all the support from the library system.
Yes. So again, y'all, thank you. We had a great time. So if anybody's out there listening, we had fun. We just had a great time, and I'm gonna rewatch it. Like this is my first time working as staff, because usually I'm hustling right beside you. Y'all know what we do. But this was a great time, a great experience. So and you can also hear, Antoine's episode on Blurtish as well too.
Yes.
And for even more detail, but Antoine does a great job. So we're gonna get ready to say good evening. We're gonna get ready to say good night. Go back and check the link and rewatch it and have a good time and and relax yourself.
Solidarity and compassion. Bless.
Peace and blessings. Ashe.
Ashe.